Episode 9.
I'll probably start there.
Son. Yeah. Always on the search for things to talk about.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Bit of a struggle, eh?
It's yeah, like when you first like, hey bro, let's start a podcast. You're like, yeah, and then every week you go,
what the fuck
what
are we talking
talk
about?
it's a stressful thing every week.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
You know, we always seem to do it right.
Yeah.
But
Once we get going, once we sort of let loose a little bit, you know what I mean?
which only happens like in the last 10 minutes, and then we're like, all right, end the podcast.
We're like, yeah, we feel good about this.
That was so good.
Like, this is getting easier and easier.
It's
and the next
definitely
minute,
not.
it's like, fucking hell.
Well, I'm finding it hard to find, maybe because we haven't found our, like, kind of like what we talk about. It's not like this podcast, there's a specific thing that we cover every week. So therefore it's like a literal random experience.
Yeah, that's right.
And therefore it's not like you can zone in on anything to want to talk about on the next week. It's like, so... you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like...
It's that for us, but also for the listeners as well. It's like, oh, I don't know what they're going to talk about this week.
Nothing.
It's like different every week.
What if we were just silent for like 45 minutes?
We should give it a go.
No, we can't do that yet.
No.
Maybe when we're like big, we could do that.
No.
Like you'd still listen if the Joe Rogan podcast did that. All right, we're going silent for 45 minutes.
What's there to listen?
I guess. Yeah.
But his podcast, have you seen David Blaine?
Yeah, I watched that one. I actually watched that one on YouTube.
Did you see him eat that frog? And then
I didn't watch that far. I got like 2 hours in.
Oh,
That's where I'm up to.
that guy's fucking weird.
Dude, he
He's
does
so
some
weird.
good. And Joe is such... He's like scared of magic, bro.
Yeah.
He is one of those guys who like hates shit he can't figure out or explain. You see him, he's like, fuck that, man. Like he just can't.
But did you see him also just totally fucking put him down? You know when he did that, he put that fucking metal sort of piece through his arm?
I've only got halfway through.
Oh, okay. So he had like this fucking little sharp metal piece, right?
Yeah.
And he's like to Joe Rogan, oh, just come on. He's like, nothing happens to me. He's like, poke it through my arm.
Joe Rogan does it to him.
Yeah, he makes Joe Rogan do it to him from the outside of his bicep. And it comes out, like, he's pushing it in first. And Joe Rogan, like, he doesn't want to do it. You can tell. Because, like, it's live on air. Like, you can fuck him up and he'll be responsible for it, right? Joe Rogan's like, look, I don't feel calm. He's like, just do it, man. He's like, which spot? He's like, just pick any spot. Anyways, as he's about to do it, he hits a nerve. So David just fucking yanks it out. And he's like, oh, you hit a nerve. And Joe Rogan's like, okay, man. He's like, I really don't want to do it. Like, you can tell he doesn't want anything to do with it. Forces him again. Comes out the other end. And then David's like, look at this. Like, he's so proud because he just put that thing through his arm and he's like showing it off. And Joe Rogan's like, David's like, oh, isn't this great? Isn't this like magic? Look what your body is capable of doing. And Joe Rogan's like, yeah, and totally unnecessary. He just like puts him down, saying like, it's so useless. Like, what are you gonna do with that?
You get that from Joe the whole podcast. He's like, why do you do any of this stuff?
Yeah.
And David Blaine's like, why not?
Yeah.
Like they're complete opposite spectrum. It's like Joe's just like, you're crazy, man.
Joe Rogan's like
when he's explaining how he goes to like, what is it, like 30,000 feet with like oxygen, like special breathing techniques and stuff, and Joe's like, why? Like, just why? Joe's hilarious. He's such a, like, I don't know.
He's done some weird shit, though, that guy.
Well, I never got into, like, I never watched David Blaine's stuff when he was, like, a big deal.
Yeah,
like, I knew his name, but I never, like, followed his magic stuff or whatever. But, like, you know, it was on TV every now and then. And he'd do, like, crazy, random, like illusion tricks on TV. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Because it's on TV, you're like, whatever.
Yeah,
but
like,
then,
it's fake.
I mean, he's obviously a pretty... You know, he's a fucking top-notch,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call him, magician or magic.
He does a lot of stunts and shit as well.
Most of the stuff he does is stunts, actually, when you think about it. Like when he was talking on the podcast about, like, locking himself in a coffin.
Yes.
Under fucking water or something.
Yeah.
Like
he was, like, pissing
into a fucking tube.
Yeah.
And he's like, one thing you don't account for is like, having a pee with hundreds of people watching you, because he's, like, under this coffin and all these people are just watching.
He's like, it was never, like, a downtime. He goes, I would just close my eyes. He goes, sometimes it would take me hours just to pee. It's pretty crazy. Did you know Chris Angel's back in the day? Have you seen
I heard of him, yeah. Chris Angel Mind Freak, was that was his show?
Yeah, Mind Freak. He was like David Blaine before David Blaine.
Right.
Yeah, he used to do some crazy
well, back
shit.
then they would have been rock stars. Magic was cool back then.
Ah.
Now a magician comes along, we're like,
gay.
Yeah, we're like, God, get a real job.
Yeah.
No,
It's interesting though. We need people like that in the world, though.
Definitely.
You gotta have normal people, and then you're gonna have some fucking crazy fuckers that just do weird shit like that. I feel like you have to have that.
Yeah, well, there's the spectrum of people is so large that you're gonna get everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody you can think of, you can get.
Yeah.
And magicians are pretty cool people. Well, because the way David Blaine was explaining it on the podcast, he was like, just like the curiosity he had as a kid. And I'm like, when I was thinking, I was trying to think like what I was like as a kid, and I'm like, you all have that curiosity, but then there's something that just like is stronger for them. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the way he was talking about it was like, he just loved the cards and the way they felt and all this stuff. And then suddenly, you're on the path to be a magician. And it's just this like, he said his biggest drive was to like make his mum laugh and then make other people laugh and get that kind of like verification through that, like, wow, and that must feel pretty freaking amazing.
Constant feedback,
you do something and they just go like, holy shit, and you're just like,
yeah, I can blow your mind, bitch.
You're like, you have no idea what I'm doing. It's like that must be a pretty good rush. That like Joe Rogan says, like being on stage as a comedian, that rush, like most comedians say, you got like normal people, us, have no idea what it's like to go on stage and just like murder
50,000 people
just laughing their asses off at you. You know what I mean?
We get nervous when fucking 20 people watches us. We're like,
10 people.
Fucking hell. Imagine like everyone's sitting right in front of us and we have to talk and there's cameras everywhere.
I reckon that would actually be maybe a little easier.
You think so?
Yeah, because I'd interact.
Yeah, true.
You could interact a bit better with people.
Yeah.
And also, plus, we've talked about this. It's like the format of our like little setup right now is difficult.
Yeah,
like we're sitting on a couch together, and it's hard to kind of talk like this. But then also, you're talking to the camera. I'm talking to you, but we're also kind of like we're finding a 45-degree angle between each other and the camera. Like you look there, and I look there, and we kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if we had like I don't know, like a table, and we sat across from each other, or like I don't know, some crazy shit like an L-shaped table. And we sit at the ends.
Yeah, true.
And then we all go to the middle.
Yeah, true.
We find each other at the middle. You know what I mean? Like we talk to the camera at the middle and also... So one day.
One day.
You know what I mean? How did I get there?
Soon. I have no idea. I'm talking about magic and then you're talking about table setups. I'm like, all right. No, interacting with audiences.
That's right.
But I wonder, people like David Blaine or people who go out and try crazy shit. Like, where does that curiosity come from? Like, he held his breath for 17 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like, who sits down and says, all right, I'm going to practice on how to hold my breath for a very long time, and then I'm going to go out and do it in front of everyone, and then make a record, set a record.
Well, like, that's the thing there. Break the record, though. Like,
I guess it's just like you want to be remembered for something. Like, is that it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know with him, but... I imagine...
Like, what would make someone do something so...
But even probably he can't explain it. Like, you ask him, he'd probably just go, why not? You know what I mean? Like, the why not kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like...
But, like, where does that... Okay, so... Curiosity or thoughts in your head, right? Your brain thinks of that shit, right? Because nothing comes out of from the outside.
We could get into some crazy shit like free will versus determinism.
Yeah, true.
Whether you are coming up with that idea, or if that idea is kind of like
it's like floating in space.
It's already there.
You can't see it. It's like this idea, and it just swims and fucking.
Do you grab it and pull it in, or does it decide it wants to be your idea, or you make it your idea?
That's. Yeah.
And then also, I don't know where I've heard this, but like the idea that ideas, thoughts are their own entities kind of thing. Like they are, I don't know, like a living creature, but like they have a
microorganism in a way.
Something crazy. But imagine, because it's like, it's not like you can, can you create a thought? You know what I mean? Like, can you create a thought? Or does a thought just happen? Or can I be like, I'm making a thought now? That's what I mean.
You could be in the shower and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, Because when you think about it, everything had to be thought of first, right? Like this camera that we're recording with. Someone had to like, I wonder if I could make something that could freeze time and print something out and have it as a memory. You know what I mean? Like someone had to think of that. Where did that thought come from?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, are they creatures of their own
I don't know.
that come to you
I don't know.
and that's how they live their lives? Is they're like fucking parasites and they swarm into your brain?
It could be. You know, like, because parasites are like that, where they get into your brain and they fucking control you.
There's invention thoughts, like you said, like in camera. There's just thoughts. Then there could be a fucked up thought where someone's like, I want to murder this person, and I can't really explain why. And then we go, oh, that's a broken brain. But it's like, then like a broken mind attracts broken thoughts. Or are these thoughts already in the brain? Oh my god, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, then you go, oh, look at these psychopaths or these killers or these murderers or fuck, I don't know, like, you know, like a bit of a nasty topic, like, you know, pedophiles, like a lot of pedophiles, it's like a disease, they say, you know, like it's almost something they can't help. I'm not saying they're not guiltless. I'm just saying like it's a disease almost in the head.
Well, it's a mental thing. It's like people go out and commit.
And those thoughts, do you create those thoughts? It's like, how the fuck does that work? Or they just come in and you go, yeah, that's a fucking, yeah. Like,
and it's just a battle in your head. Like,
I thought
with your
it's
brain.
like, did you think of that? Or is there a pool of like cosmic ideas out there and there's a certain frequency you fucking vibe on and those ideas fly into your head on that wavelength or something?
Or is every possible thought just stored in this part of your brain and you just...
Well, imagine
every now and then you just spark this thing that just lets you have access to that information.
Well, that's pretty wild.
Oh,
like,
cool.
imagine...
You know? I thought of doing this, I thought of doing that.
Imagine, because you know how they're like, oh, we only use 10% of our brain or whatever. What if all that other 90% is just storage room for ideas? Literally, you have every idea that can be a thing. You just can't access it yet. And if you somehow manage to access 100% of your brain's capacity, you suddenly just get assaulted by ideas. Just ideas that don't even make sense to you because it's ideas that have all been and will exist. You know, so you have the same thought as like a great inventor of the 3000th year, 3001. You know, or I don't know. It's incredible. I don't know.
But I think thoughts can also change depending on your surroundings, right?
Yes.
Like, your thoughts on something
influenced by your
exactly. You could be
environment,
influenced by the people around you, but not just people, like not just living beings, but just the environment that you're in. You know, you could have certain thoughts just because of where you are and the situation you're in. You know?
Sure. Oh, dude, man, I think we'd have to study some serious psychology to figure it all out,
Yeah.
like for real. But then it does go back to like, you know, free will and determinism. It's like, are you in control or are you not in control? Is it all predetermined and you just think you're making decisions and choices, you know? Like putting an idea into effect, let's say, is that your choice? Or is that already determined? That's the argument.
I think it's your choice. I think it's your choice. Because, like, when you think about it, let's say instead of you living in this house, living in this time frame, let's say you lived, I don't know, fucking in the 1400s, and let's say you didn't have access to, you didn't have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
It's winter, it's cold, right? Maybe because of the situation you're in, you're like, all right, cool, what can I... You know, you thought of shit to get yourself out of that situation. Right?
Yep.
Oh, maybe I can make this heater. Maybe I can create this thing to keep myself warm to then make my life easier for me. You know what I mean? So maybe if you're in that situation, that thought will come to you. All right, cool. I need to do something to make my life better. Whereas if you're already in this environment, you're like, let's say you don't have to worry about being warm at all.
Yeah.
Right? Temperature's always good. You know, you wouldn't be like, fuck, I need to make something in case I get cold at night. I need to create a heater. I need to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think those sort of things can sort of make a difference as well in terms of your thought process and what comes in and what you then
you're just on a constant search for ideas then, no matter whatever circumstances you're in. You're searching for things, searching for ideas and... But then that's the thing is like, are the ideas yours or are they out there and you collect them? You know what I mean? Does your synapses literally build, you know, like build the idea, or is that idea over here and then it gets sucked into my brain and I go, oh, of course. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I think that's where curiosity comes in place, right? Because if you're not curious, if you're like, well, fuck it, like life is the way it is, you're not going to be doing much thinking. Whereas if you're like, all right, cool, how can I do this better? How can I, you know what I mean? How can I improve my situation? How can I help other people? That's where ideas, that's where things go into places. You know what I mean? You're like, cool, I'm a doctor. How can I make my patient's life better? And then maybe you go and study, you come up with a new technology. Oh, cool, I created this thing I can insert into your arteries and then it opens up.
Yeah.
Blocked arteries, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I thought of that. But if you don't put that effort and energy into it, I don't think thoughts just randomly come into your head. It's not like you just be like watching TV and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? You just have this light bulb moment and
Something prompts the...
Yeah, I don't
like
think
you're
it just-
watching some philosophy, like...
yeah.
You're watching
Or like
a video
you could be
and it sparks your imagination.
Yeah.
Or
Or like, you know, you could be talking to someone and then they say something that sparks your curiosity and interest. So then that puts you on a different path. And then that may result in something.
Do you think people are like conduits for... Because when you talk to someone who... Like you get in a group... Like if you're just on your own and you're just thinking about stuff, you might like come up with some crazy ideas. Like let's say you're on a specific topic. Like you're trying to figure something out in the world. Like you're trying to figure out some philosophical idea, but then you get in a group of like 3 people and you're all bouncing off each other.
Yeah.
And it's like suddenly like a
Brainstorming and shit.
pinball machine of ideas and you're all bouncing off each other and it's like you're conduits and you're magnifying this curiosity or this idea spawning kind of like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, someone says something, you're like, oh fuck, and then you add a little thing
Like,
to
why
it and
didn't I
suddenly
think of that?
and then literally
Yeah.
it just spirals into this shit. So it's like,
And then where you start, as opposed to where you end up, by the end of that conversation is like day and night.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like just before the podcast, we watched those little videos, and it's like you think of all the philosophers of the last
ever existed,
couple
yeah.
hundred years, right? Like, you know, Socrates and Camus and all those people we were just looking at. And it's like, you know, they spent all their time thinking about, I'm sure it all starts with like, what is life? Like, why does life? What is all this? Like, what the fuck is the meaning of all this stuff? And then they all come up with their own kind of ideas of what it is, which gets turned into ideas like, you know, existentialism or whatever it was called. Like all these different ideas of like, you know, death doesn't matter, you know, like if we die, so what, why are you afraid of death, all that kind of stuff. And then what was the one Camus said? What did he say? It was like the purpose of life is whatever you find that keeps you from killing yourself.
Yeah, that's it. As
So
long as you're alive, you're pretty much fulfilling your purpose
There
in
is
life.
no purpose in life except whatever you find to keep you from killing yourself, which makes fucking sense to me. Because it's like back in the day, you're just hunting to be alive so you can pass on your genes, right? Hunting, doing your thing. We talked about it last time, like being, you know, whatever at the top so you can then pass on your genes and stuff. That's your kind of purpose for survival. It's just passing on. Now, it's a bit different.
We've passed that, and now we're like,
We're trying to find
why
different.
Are we here?
We're trying to find different things, and it's like you have to. Most people, you have to find a thing where it's like, yeah, this is the thing I do, and I do it because, like, we don't even really know why we do it, but it's like you find a purpose that just keeps you going. Like, oh, we do jiu-jitsu. That's something that keeps us going.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? But it's like, when I was thinking about it the other day, I'm like, well, but if we die, isn't all that 15 years of jiu-jitsu training just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You become a black belt and then all of it just farts out the window.
That's the same thing with everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, another argument is spend your time here well. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's like you can't
Do things.
A lot of the philosophers I see, I'm like, they were all like fat, not very successful with women kind of shit, and it's like then you do spend most of your time fucking probably thinking about shit
you
like
just
that.
shat on all the philosophers.
I'm not kidding though, bro. It's like, it's legit. Like a lot of the, like, think of fucking Sigmund Freud. He was a fucking family sicko. Like he wanted to fuck his family.
But the thing is, like, back in the days, if you were fat, that meant you were wealthy.
Whatever.
No, but that's what it
Yeah, I
was.
know.
That's what it was. Like, people looked at you. If you were fat, all right, cool. You can feed yourself. You have money. Women actually were more attracted to fat guys back in the day.
Do you think anyone had abs back then?
Oh,
Do you think
yeah.
just shredded dudes?
I don't know. Greek gods look all fucking shredded as
I doubt
fuck.
they look like that.
Yeah.
I doubt
Can
they
we
look like
make
that.
me look a bit better?
Yeah, I wonder if like even like gladiators and stuff were actually ripped, or if they're just a bunch of fucking huge, like the biggest fattest dude with an axe one like every time because he's just huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they weren't just like the mountain like shredded and everything. Because I doubt. Because when I think of like training regiments, I doubt they had like seriously sophisticated training regiments back then. Like they wouldn't have fucking dumbbells and stuff and
No, they didn't have dumbbells.
kettlebells and did they know what a squat was?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure, of course.
Like how would you train back in if you were a gladiator? How would you be training?
Well, I mean,
You're just killing a guy every second night. That's your training. You know what I mean? Just that exertion of swinging a sword and a shield and just beating the shit out of someone. Like that's your training. Or do you? When
I'm
you're
sure they've
chilling,
done. I'm
you're eating
sure
a
they've
lot?
done some sort of training where.
Well, one of the crazy things, because you brought up to me the other, like yesterday, I think about the pyramids.
Oh yeah.
And then I looked a bit at the stuff, and it was all like built by, I think they say slaves, but not really slaves.
Yeah, no
they were
one
like
really knows.
housed
Yeah.
in a like
It
an
was the
area
alien.
near.
It was the aliens. Come on.
Yeah. Well, let's pretend that it wasn't aliens for a second. These people were literally their diet was like just meat, bread, and beer. So they were just like, and they were pushing fucking like 6 ton. What's like 6,000 pounds? I don't know kilo measurements, but that pounds is less. So like I don't know, like a 4.5, 5 ton stone or whatever, and that's 8 people. And then there's like
No machinery back then.
dude, and
No
I didn't.
fucking-
I've never been to the pyramids.
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
No.
I haven't.
Even just seeing it in the video, like just how they start at the bottom, you see the rock, you're like, damn, that's a big rock, and then it goes, and you're like, damn, it's tall, and then you, what the fuck, and then you just get, and you're just like, holy fuck, like they somehow got rocks all the, like these are like sandstone blocks the size of fucking this room, and they somehow pushed them up, like the way they did it was like they lay, I don't know, like wood planks out to slide the shit across, and they like wet the wood planks in the sand to make it so it slides. But still, they're getting it. I think it was something like 461 feet, one of the pyramids, and like a 3-story building's like 35 feet. You know what I mean? So they had to lug. It's ridiculous. But anyway, these guys would have been, guys and girls, I don't know who was there, but it's like they would have been fit as fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It would
But
have been,
the skeletons they found was like arthritis, compressed spines, like really full on. You know, you're pushing those fucking stones up a hill, like up a vertical slope to get to the top of a pyramid. Like these pyramids are so huge, man. And yeah, you look at these stones, you're like, number one, why the fuck do it that way and not have it a bit easier? Let's do littler stones. You know,
I wonder what was the point? Like,
you could create a mound that just like,
why a pyramid? Like why?
because it's probably easy to stack that way.
Yeah, I know, but why go through all of that effort to make that massive thing?
Maybe it was something to do with the stars or astronomy or something.
Well,
Like
that's
points.
the thing. The pyramid of Giza is the way it's been positioned. It actually lines up the angle to the fucking moon or something, whatever it is like the same number as the number of pi.
Oh.
You know, 3.14
What?
something, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's like identical. Like, how the fuck did they know that? Man, Egyptians were very smart. I mean, like, even with maths and physics back in the day.
Well, that's what I mean.
they've
They
done a
must have.
lot of
They
shit,
definitely
man.
had their own tools to make that. Like, could we do that these days? I'm sure we could with like modern machinery make pyramids, but it's like if you didn't have that, could we do it?
Yeah, no.
I don't think so. I think we're too lazy. Number one, number
Too
two.
lazy and no one's gonna give a fuck.
But apparently, the interior of the pyramids, like some of it is actually hollowed out chambers as well. So they had to do that as well, like hollow out the chambers and stuff.
Oh, fuck me,
Again,
man. Oh my god.
you saw her, bro.
I know, but I forgot about it. Fuck you, Charlie. Fuck.
What was that, episode 4 or 5 that happened last time?
Scared me. Holy shit. I feel like I got more scared this time.
Well, she does jump up pretty quick. She's like,
No, I didn't realise. I didn't realise.
No, she's such
I
a
thought she was going that way.
No, she's such a lovely cat. But yeah, anyway, yeah, like if you're doing that every day, you know, pushing those 4, 5, whatever ton sand, limestone blocks up a freaking slope, you're going to be a big boy. You're going to be yoked. I mean, you're going to have so many injuries though. Because think about doing that every day, no break. Imagine how many people died doing that. Like, I imagine people were dying all the time.
Well, yeah, apparently they would do it in shifts as well, like
They had
people
certain
work like
crews,
3-month shift, and they would just sleep right there, eat right there. But apparently they would use the like, it wasn't mainly the slaves, but they would get all their best sort of designers and
That's the thing. They had like architects and like
Yeah.
all sorts of tradesmen there, like stonemasons and stuff. Whoever was efficient with tools and things, they would have them there. So it was a whole process. It was like they did it knowing it was going to be a big fucking deal. Like they had the whole nation doing that thing. You know what I mean? We're building these pyramids. You know, because there's hundreds of pyramids apparently, but those 3 huge ones. Right?
Well, there's a few like smaller sort of ones as well, but yeah, the main one is
Giza.
yeah, that's
something else. I can't remember the other. I don't even know. But they're huge, man. Like so fucking big. So
like, how the fuck did they make it? That's one thing. 2, you know. I don't
remember
know
Transformers?
Oh yeah.
When they destroy the pyramid, it's got the alien thing in it, and they blow up the sun with it.
Yeah, it's probably something to do with that.
Imagine.
The Egyptians were
people have
around
been
for like
inside.
fucking over 3,000 years, man. 3,000 years. That's a long fucking time.
You know how long the Aboriginal people were around for?
No.
It's like 60,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
lot
long
longer.
time. Yeah.
But they didn't make pyramids.
Not talking
Anyone
shit
who
about-
makes not talking shit about anybody. Just they didn't make. Whoever can make a fucking pyramid, I'm impressed. You know.
Yeah, legit though.
But
yeah, it's
they were tombs, right? Like they were tombs for dead kings, right?
Yes,
Is that what the point of them were?
pharaohs, yeah.
And it was supposed to be like a
Well,
like a holy housing thing.
yeah,
or-
because the Egyptians believed in, you know, afterlife.
When you still
die,
preserve the body,
yeah, that's why they
wrap the
mummify
body,
it.
suck the brain out the nose,
Yeah.
do all the horrible organs and jars and shit. Don't they do that?
So yeah, they would take the brain out. I'm pretty sure they would leave the heart and everything in there because they believed more in the heart than the brain. Yeah, mummify you, take the brain, and then they would bury you with all your belongings and shit. That's why, because especially if you're a pharaoh, because you're wealthy and rich,
Yeah.
have a lot of gold and shit. That's why they would build tombs and stuff. So then the general public couldn't get in. And that's why there would be like traps and everything. It'd be very hard to get in. So people
there
couldn't
legit
steal.
traps?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So it's legit Indiana Jones pyramid.
Well, I mean,
style.
it's not like, you know, you open a door and then spikes. It wasn't like that. But there's a lot of mysteries in Egypt. Even, I don't know if you know one of the pharaohs, Tutankhamun.
Yeah,
he
well,
was
the
only-
most famous one we know.
Yeah, and he was only he's believed to be between 18 to 23 years old. No one knows why he died. He died at a very young age. I actually done an assignment back in high school about...
Weren't they like fucking incest as fuck? Like
Oh, yeah.
they were all like fucked up, like physically because of that. Because they were like
they
full
weren't-
incest kind of like... Wasn't it? Or am I thinking of some other Egyptian person?
It wasn't
Like stunted
Tutankhamun.
and shit?
No, not
Okay,
Tutankhamun.
thinking of someone else. then.
Tutankhamun was a warrior. They don't know because they found his body and everything, right? Like they found his tomb, and the thing is, the people who discovered his tomb, out of like, I don't know, let's say it was a group of 20 archaeologists that was digging the site, right? Like 15 of them died from like most strange fucking reasons, like within a few years of discovering it. So like, is it cursed? Is it, you know, did they have some sort of knowledge of afterlife or some shit that we don't know about?
Maybe it was ancient Egyptian asbestos or something.
Oh, who the fuck?
Maybe
they
limestone
figured...
asbestos. I don't know. Fucking
Yeah, it's probably some shit
maybe
like
it's
that.
toxic, decaying bodies. You inhale that shit.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the tombs and you fucking inhaling all that dirty gas. Probably kill you. I have no idea. No, we love a bit of mystery.
But it's crazy. Can you imagine, like, I don't know, 5,000 years later, is there going to be another civilization that looks back at the shit that we've done?
Well, bro, we built buildings and everything. Like, if we suddenly disappear, whoever then comes next, it'll be less mysterious because it'll be like, it's everywhere. There's buildings and skyscrapers everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, we've left such a footprint that we're not just going to leave a bunch of pyramids and that's it. Like, there's going to be cars again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that will never happen again.
Yeah.
Where
It's like,
people come,
what's going
what's
on?
happening?
You know?
Plus, we have internet. Everything's on the internet.
Yeah, but that might go. The internet could disappear somehow. Like, just servers don't work and shit. And
Well,
imagine if a society, imagine if the great year of discovery, they reboot the internet after thousands of years, and there's just fucking cat gifs, and they're like, what the fuck? And there's people fucking
Who
each
was
other, like, porn
Harambe?
and shit. Yeah, like just they see everything and it blows their minds. She's fine. She won't buy you. But imagine that. That's like a movie.
Yeah.
A generation in like year 4,500, and they haven't been able to. This internet's this mysterious thing, and then like right at the end of the movie, it's like it's all built up to this point, and they turn on the computer, and it's like in the 2000s, like you know what I mean? And then it boots up, and it's just like a cat shitting on the floor or something.
Well,
And then the movie ends.
like, what the fuck was that?
Or if it's like that, what's that dude who does it? He's like that dude in the bandana. He's like all yoked and he's like dancing. What's his name? It's like a huge meme at the moment. It's been a meme for a while.
Oh,
you got that, didn't it?
The one with the bandana?
Yeah, what's his name? He's like that big yoked guy, and he's like
he
dancing.
just sort of like,
And it's like him. They see that, the movie ends. Like, that would be the funniest thing, because the internet's the stupidest place. And if, like, imagine if we found ancient Egyptian servers, and we just suddenly find what they're doing, you know, and we think what they're doing so fucked
different,
up.
They would think different, because their environment is different.
They're like
it would be different.
5 tips on how to extract the brain out the nose, and it's like a housewife tips kind of video.
Speaking of tips, did you see how how they manage birth control
back then
in Egypt? Yeah. No.
What do they do?
Oh,
is it fucked up?
It's very fucked up. It's very fucked up. So apparently they would get crocodile shit, and I'm not even kidding. And then they would mix it with a bunch of like they would like juice a bunch of vegetables and shit, and then mix it all together. And then the woman would insert the crocodile shit into their vagina before sex, and apparently that. So when they're fucking, so the shit would stay there, and apparently once you finish, that would kill.
Yeah, of course.
Any of the sperm
crocodile
cells.
shit's gonna kill the sperm count.
and they also knew how to do like fucking pregnancy tests.
Oh, jeez.
Apparently, there's one plant like that they would grow. And this is actually a study that's been proven, like in today's age, that it works. If you get this vegetable and you pee on it, unless you're pregnant, it won't grow. So let's say you get a pot. Instead of watering it,
so it'll die.
So you pee on it for 2 weeks, right? If you're not pregnant, it dies. But if you're pregnant, apparently your body releases this
different thing,
different fucking hormone or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. And that actually grows the vegetable, the plant. So they would know if someone's pregnant.
How do you figure that out?
That's the thing.
How the fuck do you figure that out?
Without science and technology, how do you figure that out?
Like someone
do you
could
randomly go
pee on that plant, but no one's gonna be focusing on that. It's like they'd be.
See, like shit like that. Shit like that really sort of gets my fucking mind boggling. It's like how.
But like
Who
you
figured
say,
that out?
according to your
that out?
environment, different ideas turn up. So it's like
Well,
they
you
had
adapt
a different,
and you adjust.
yeah,
right?
like they had a whole different society, lifestyle. They lived in a different part of the world that we understand. You know what I mean? Like the deserts and the Nile River and all that crazy stuff. It's like according to your environment, their ideas are different. What they need is different.
But they figured shit out.
But
That's
they
what I'm
figured
saying.
it out. Yeah.
Like if we didn't have, contraceptive pills or whatever, birth control or condoms, right? Would you? Let me try honey shit and see if that's gonna.
Let me stuff shit up there for you. It's like, oh, dude.
Like, how do you actually
get me too?
By the time you get to that, like, do you go through so many other crap ideas until you find the one that actually works, or do these guys randomly? Oh yeah, like just fucking. Oh yeah, they just put 2 and 2 together. Oh, yeah, if we do this, it's just gonna work.
Imagine how many stuffed up vaginas had to go through what they had to go through to figure that out.
I don't know.
They wouldn't have got that right in the first go.
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Yeah, because like that's how you get like UTIs and shit. For being a woman, like if you get fucking shit there, it's like you get a UTI, and UTIs for women are fucked. And I bet back then it probably killed you.
But yeah, that's what they use. Yeah.
Shit. How do you get crocodile shit? I guess you just follow, or you just lift the tail up and just.
You have one at home.
Yeah, the crocodiles are shitting into a bucket for you.
Wait,
I bet they did have pet crocodile. No, they wouldn't have had pet crocodiles. Nothing's above a crocodile. You can't keep that thing as a pet. Have you seen that video of that giant one walking across the golf course or whatever?
Yes, massive.
I always every time I've ever watched it, I go, it's a fake, it's a fucking robot they've created, and then I keep looking, I'm like,
that shit is real.
That's no joke the biggest dinosaur we have these days. And if that thing got hold of you, you'd be gone.
Man, fucking crocodiles are like one of the only animals that survived. Cause
what do they say? Unchanged for hundreds of thousands, millions of years, because they're basically the perfect creature almost, like perfect hunting predator, and they haven't unchanged for millions of years. They just work, right?
Yeah.
Evolution they don't need evolution. They figured it out millions of years ago, and here we are evolving. We're so amazing. The crocodiles,
but they used to be a lot bigger back then. Back in the fucking prehistoric.
Now, this is a question I have about that, massive. Though. Is it like, were things bigger because of oxygen, like higher oxygen levels? If you have higher oxygen levels, do you then grow bigger? Because there's more oxygen molecules, and the less there is, you grow less. Because how are dinosaurs... Because the bigger you are, the more blood pumping, more oxygen you need just to live. And if a freaking T-Rex or a whatever those long-necked dinosaurs were, huge, I imagine the amount of oxygen you'd have to... Like, imagine the amount of oxygen they suck in one breath compared to you or I. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe oxygen was at a higher density in the air back then, which allowed them to grow. And then that's why...
But there's still huge animals that exist. Like,
well, the biggest thing we have is a blue whale, and that's huge.
But I'm just saying, like, land animals. Like, giraffes
But then compare it to dinosaurs.
Compared to dinosaurs,
it's like it's nothing. A big difference. Like, we don't have anything that massive anymore these days.
But even the birds back then used to be fucking...
Well, that's what I mean. Like, the general consensus, I think, around dinosaurs that I've heard is, like, everything was bigger. Insects,
yeah.
Anything were bigger.
Flies were
like, a dragonfly was like this back then. And then I think, well, is that because there was more oxygen? Or is there something just... different back then?
I don't know. I just think it's because that's just how life was back then. Like everything sort of.
Why would you decide to get
evolved?
Smaller?
Well, you don't need to be bigger because there's nothing. We don't need to be bigger.
We don't.
Yeah.
But if you're a predator, you do.
Yeah.
If you're prey, you do. Like if you're a prey animal, the bigger you are, the better you have of surviving. Like you see the lions hunting, they're always going to take the little antelope or the little buffalo.
Right.
They don't go up to the big one unless
it's
sick or it's old or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the bigger you are, the better. So, I don't know why, unless it had to, the crocodile would get smaller or insects would get smaller. Imagine mosquitoes are this freaking big. Imagine a praying mantis the size of this room. We'd be fucked.
Yeah,
you know
legit,
what I mean? A freaking sword flailing praying mantis.
Yeah.
That would be scary.
That shit would be bulletproof too and fucking bounce.
That's what I've heard.
Deflect your bullets.
Apparently they like got this chitinous shell that if they were larger, it would be bulletproof. Yeah. Which is insane. And
where I heard that from somewhere like recently.
Joe Rogan, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's like our number one source for all our shit. We're such thieves, man. Such thieves. But then a while ago as well, I found this on my own. There was a few articles about how they're experimenting with spiderweb to make bulletproof material. Like there's a certain spiderweb they're trying to develop. This was years ago though, into a bulletproof material because apparently spiderweb per inch or volume or whatever, like the size to strength ratio is the strongest thing we have on this planet or something. But because it's so small, like if like a spider web, you just break it. But if it was this thick, it would be stronger than anything. It would be stronger than steel, any little thing, and it's also it has elasticity. So therefore, if you could make a full body armor out of elastic spider web material, you fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine, that'd be pretty cool.
I wonder if that would burn though. Like would the spider web catch fire? The web?
Yes. I think it does.
It would, right?
I think it does.
I don't know, I never tried it.
I don't want to try that. I don't want to fuck some poor dude's web up to try.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, eh?
I wonder if it is flammable or...
I'm pretty sure they could make it non-flammable.
They just piss on it.
If there's scientists out there developing stuff like that, they're going to make sure it doesn't burn. They're going to make sure
they're fucking... The shit that they're developing right now, we can't even imagine.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, that's true. Laser guns, bro.
Flamethrowers. Elon Musk, says it's not a flamethrower. Yeah. What does he say it is?
Not a flamethrower.
Right.
Like literally not a flamethrower. Because he had trouble
shipping. He can't sell it. Yeah.
He had trouble shipping it to other countries. He can't distribute it if it's
literally a weapon. So he has to be like, oh, it's just a toy. That spews out freaking fire.
Yeah.
That's an upgraded version of the World War II flamethrower, basically. You want
Pretty
one?
badass.
You want
man.
your kids to have one?
I'd love to have one. I'd love to have one.
It's probably $45,000 a canister, and the canister's probably like this big. You for 3 seconds. Oh yeah.
But what a feeling that would be, just using that.
Yeah, it's
Fucking pretty
big dick
badass.
energy, bro.
Yeah, big dick energy. Legit.
Got the flamethrower.
Legit.
You know, I was thinking that the other day about guns, because like America, you know, my granddad's very focused on what's going on in America at the moment. He thinks a civil war's coming, and I'm like, if a civil war happened here in Australia, I wonder how it would go. We don't have guns.
No, we don't.
What would we do? Yell at each other?
Oi, dickhead.
You fucking bitch. You know what I mean? It's like, in America,
This is
no
America.
words. Gun. It's like, I have an assault rifle. You know?
Have you ever shot a gun before?
I've shot like a air rifle, but that's not really a gun.
I went down to a shooting range down in Gold Coast a few years ago.
Legit shooting range.
Yeah.
What'd you shoot?
I shot up like a
Like pistols
it wasn't
or?
no I shot 2 pistols, and then I shot like it wasn't an automatic.
Is it shocking? Like how much you're like,
Yes.
whoa, this thing's legit.
Yes.
Like you
It's
suddenly
scary.
realize how much this
It's
could fuck
scary
someone up.
how much power it has, because you feel the power. Even a fucking shitty pistol, man. You take a shot, you're like,
And you can somehow imagine in your head hitting, like you see it hit the target,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, if that hits someone.
like how quick it is and how fast it is and how lethal.
Because you pull the
just
trigger
feel
and
it.
it's already hit the
instant.
thing. It's like
instant.
you're like bang, it's hit.
It's before you blink. It's already fucking.
Well, that's what I imagine. Yeah, like that's the feeling I feel like I would get when I shoot a gun. You'd suddenly go, oh
Yeah.
fuck, like this is a dangerous thing. Like,
I shot a rifle with like the red dot sight as
Oh,
well. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But scary, man. And the
yeah,
fucking
I definitely want to go to a
the
shooting range
shells
one day.
fucking fly out, and one of them flew out and fucking like landed on my neck. And was like, ah.
They hot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hot.
fuck that. Yeah, I'd like. There's a channel on YouTube I think called. There's 2. There's Forgotten Weapons, and then there's like Guns in Real Life, and it's like a guy who takes all the guns from like video games and he has them and he just shoots them.
Oh, really?
And he's got like a little GoPro on.
Oh, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
sick to see them.
Yeah.
And then the Forgotten Weapons guy goes over and it's like, guns are cool, like through engineering and stuff. Like I'm like, oh wow, look how they make this thing. How the fuck do you figure out how to make that weapon? Like when he pulls it apart and shows the springs and shit. I'm just literally like, am I like genuinely retarded? I could never think of how to make that. Someone's just churning out guns, Smith and Wesson. They're just dun, 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 here's my new revolver. It's like, how do you make that? You know what I mean? It's like that's
Someone
cool.
came up with the idea. Where did that idea come from? Curiosity.
Aliens.
I want to kill someone. Because what like that's the only use a gun like
Well,
to
originally it's
harm
a
damage.
defense. It's a defense weapon. Like, hey,
Well, I don't think originally it was made as a defense. It was made for war, right? Like back in the.
I'm sure originally it would have been made for.
But
Well, the first
wasn't it
revolver,
between
I
the-
think this
the
is true.
revolution-
The first revolver was made when the Texan Rangers were at war with the Native Indians, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that was because, like, the one shot, you know, like rifles, and you have to reload the thing. It's like now you suddenly had 6 shots. Bang, you know, bang. You had 6 shots and they would do it on horseback. They perfected. So it's like, you're right. They it's like we need a new weapon to gain an advantage in
More
our
faster,
thing.
more efficient.
But originally,
more
like the
lethal.
first ever gun, no, it probably was for war. Hey?
Yeah, it would have been. There was no.
Well, think
was
of
all
World
for
War One and World War Two. Like the fucking industry, gun manufacturers, like the powerhouse of the world. It would have been. You know, like you make guns, you've won the lottery. You know what I mean?
Well, you want to buy guns, automatic win, bro. You want to take that risk against the others. You know, they're pretty good with their bow and arrow, but a gun is better.
You can shoot them from way further away.
That's it, more accurate. But I think the gun is like the only thing that's actually made for like a knife. Yeah, you can inflict damage on someone,
But you
but
gotta get close.
mine a knife wasn't created to kill someone. It
No,
was
it's
there
like
to
hunting or.
chop food, hunting, whatever. But like
Yeah,
a
it's true,
gun,
because
you can't use a gun for anything else.
Originally, most weapons were developed out of like farming tools because there was no need for war before agriculture. And then after agriculture, it was like, oh wait, I want that guy's fucking farm. And then most weapons were developed out of like, you know, a sickle
Yeah,
or
that's right.
or a plow tool. It suddenly became these crazy weapons, these like medieval weapons. And then it's like, yeah, the gun would have definitely come out of. Yeah, it wouldn't have been, oh, you want to defend yourself? It's like, bro, we're going to war. And then it would have been, after there's no war, it would have been, hey, we need to keep churning out guns. We need people to buy them. Let's go self-defense, you know? Because even I was looking on the internet the other day, and there was a bicycle gun they made back in the day.
A bicycle?
So you're riding your bike.
Yeah.
There's a fucking turret on the bike.
Are you serious?
A turret.
And when you hit the brakes,
literally. Because it was like, and the ads. This is like 1800s. The ads were like, have you ever been assaulted on your bike or something? Or like a pack of dogs have attacked you? Don't worry, we got you covered. The bicycle gun. It's a literal fucking gun mounted on the
fucking James Bond
the fucking steering bit, and it's like da 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 da. It's crazy.
Put a Tommy gun on that bitch.
But yeah, anyway, if there is a civil war in America, it's gonna be fucked now, because it's not like they have flintlocks and stuff. They've got, you know, assault rifles. Probably people got miniguns and.
Going back to the first thing we discussed, you know, where the ideas, where the thoughts come from. You know, the person who thought of, all right, I'm gonna make something that can shoot fucking accurate and actually
long range. You're out of danger
and kill someone. Like someone had to think of that.
Well, if the world was probably a bit more dangerous back then. So it's like, those are things you're thinking about. You're like, I don't want to die. I need something to protect myself.
So again, I think we go back to the environment and your surroundings and how thoughts come.
There's a need to create these thoughts because, you know, survival. I don't know. Is that the ultimate driver of ideas?
So I want to ask you a question. Do you think we're inventing less shit now than we were before because our need
was greater?
Like, we don't really need to push the needle anymore because we're comfortable, you know, whereas before you're like, fuck, like I said, you know, I'm cold, I want to make something, you make a heater. Now you've already got, we don't know what we don't have yet, obviously.
Well, I think...
but what's going to be the next thing that drives the next wave of invention?
I don't know, but I definitely think our need was greater before, and that's why... especially like the Industrial Revolution, that was such a huge thing, turn of the century kind of stuff. We don't really have that now. We might in the future have that when it's like suddenly AI and robots become such a prevalent, a normal thing. That's another turn of the century, but a lot of this is unnecessary if it you know what I mean? Like a lot of this stuff we don't actually need. And obviously the Industrial Revolution, it's like we didn't really need all that stuff, but it was so beneficial at that time for what was happening. Like the suddenly the booming of economy, everyone was making money, and suddenly it was prosperous and everyone was living easy. You know what I mean? And now it's a bit more like, let's just make a robot and see what it does. You know, let's put guns on its fucking arms and knives.
Well, that's the thing. That's what war is going to be 50 years later on, you know. It's not going to be humans fighting anymore.
Bro, you commit a crime, they're not even going to send the cops to get you. They're just going to send a 10-foot robot, just bulletproof and just unwavering.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Or I'll kill you. And you're just like, fuck you, and you're shooting it, and it just grabs you by the head and just squashes your skull.
And you can't even do jiu-jitsu on it. Because it probably has like flexible joints and shit.
Or just...
You're like, you put him in an armbar, he gets a WD-40, he just sprays it. It's like, oh, yeah, look.
What do you mean? How would you even get an armbar? Its arm just wouldn't move. Yeah. You'd be cranking on it and just like this. It's just, it's a titanium
just a
arm.
metal piece.
You're not going to crank that shit. You try and choke it out. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
God, terrifying. Like, I don't know if you played Dishonored, have you?
No, I know the game, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, they've got these crazy clockwork robots with like knives on their hands. They're like 11 foot tall, and I'm like, that could definitely be a thing. Like big creatures that are just unwavering. And then who's got the power? Those people, the people that have those robots. And then eventually
Boston Dynamics, man. You know about Boston Dynamics?
Well, they're
the
making
shit that they work on.
Have you seen that one that opens the door? Yeah. It's like it looks at the door, grabs it, opens it, and the human's like trying to close it, being a cunt, and the robot's like, fuck, man, it opens it. I'm like, bro, the robot's going to look back at all this shit and be like, you didn't treat us very well. Please save us, robots. Forgive us. They're not going to forgive us. As soon as the robots develop consciousness and if they have
Control-Alt-Delete.
Because we have developed them, they're going to have a mind like us, potentially, because we've created them. So therefore, they're going to have a much more logical and rational mind about the planet. And they're going to be like, you're the number one cause of disease on this planet, death,
Let's
everything.
get rid of you.
You're gone.
Yeah.
You're the ultimate disease here. You know?
Yeah, we build robots to help the environment.
And they will.
They make a list of all the problems why we are where we are. Number one, get rid of humans.
Yeah, well, literally, it's like if we suddenly develop humans, that's the ultimate irony. We develop robots to save the environment. They're going to get rid of us first because they will establish that we're the leading cause of all destruction and unhealthiness on this planet. It's true.
Fucking up everything, man.
It's true.
Did you see how Greenland lost 9 tons of ice? Like in 2019, like every minute or something. It was like
What?
this insane...
9 tons every minute.
Yeah, look it up. It's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. It was like it was either 9 or 6 tons, but like every minute for the year of 2019, it was like a record. The amount of ice we lost.
Well, it is
like,
scary when you think about it. I mean,
melted.
you've watched like Blue Planet, things like that. Like there's the Arctic episodes they do, and you see the just chunks of ice falling to the ocean, and like to us, we're like, oh yeah, but then you suddenly see perspective. You see the birds, and you're like, oh, that chunk of ice is like the size of Queensland.
Yeah, legit.
That just fell into the ocean. Yeah. Imagine the world's big, but the ocean raises that much, and then that much, and then suddenly that much is all it takes to then, 50% of Australia's coastlines are underwater.
Yeah, legit.
You know,
yeah, legit.
Sydney's under or whatever. Yeah, coastal kind of. Yeah, Sydney's gone. Melbourne's gone. Tasmania's just completely underwater. Perth's gone. You know, like all these coastal. Brisbane's probably gone too. Like we're a bit inland, but we're still fucking close to the water. You know what I mean?
Or if the moon fucks up, like we try to fuck with the moon or something too much.
Knock it out of orbit or something. Well, that would stuff the water up, right?
That's what I'm saying.
The way I think they say it's like the moon.
That's how
actually,
tides.
the gravity of the moon actually pulls the tide as it circles the Earth. So yeah, if we knock that out of orbit,
I think like if the moon was like closer or something, like it would be like.
or if space junk suddenly like develops this huge ball of shit, like huge ball of space junk, and it has its own gravitational pull. Yeah. And then we've got two things, and it'll just fuck everything up. The circadian rhythm of the Earth.
Yeah.
Be rough.
Yeah.
Be very rough. But whatever, we're not here forever.
Yeah.
You and I especially not here forever. I mean, when you think about it, we're here for so little time, and we're so invested.
Yeah.
I can't help but you can't help but get invested.
Well, yeah, because
and then you have these thoughts though. All of a sudden, it's like, well, I'm gonna die. If
you're not invested, then you're not really living. Because you're here now. You can't think about later, and that's a shit thing. Like that's problem with our society. We don't really live in the now. You're always like, all right,
what's the next thing I'm grabbing?
In 5 years, I'm gonna be doing this. I want to study this. I want to be at this level. I want to achieve this. I want to have a family. But like we forget, hey, we're living now. Nothing is guaranteed. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You might not be here tomorrow.
Suddenly, you get to a point where the next goal in 5 years is, oh shit, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
In the next 5 years, you don't know if you're going to die or not. So you can't keep looking ahead like that.
Yeah.
But it's like this is the game we're playing right now. This is the video game you're playing right now. Enjoy it, because when you die, there's going to be something else. Whether that be eternal sleep or the portal to something else. There's something else. Whether that be nothing, because nothing is something. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So enjoy it while you're here.
Yeah.
But also, it was like, I can't remember this. I think it was Socrates or whatever. He was just saying, he was like, why bother with bodily, like basically why work out? Because wherever we're going in the end is going to be mental. Your body's going to die and stay here and decompose. Whereas then your mind, you need to perfect your mind, because that's going to be the thing that goes on. But then your
body and your mind is
very linked.
Yeah, it's
linked here in this realm that we live in right now. So you kind of can't ignore the body. That's my problem with a lot of these philosophers, is they ignore their body. None of them were like fit fucking people, except Camus. He was a good looking dude. The chicks loved him.
Yeah.
So he was very happy, and he was all about sex and drinking, and like he loved that shit, So he enjoyed life, But then all the rest were fat, fucking balding guys, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. So I feel like you gotta find the balance between. You can't be a meathead and just be like, well, be a retard, be stupid.
No. You gotta be.
You gotta find that balance where it's
smart.
like, where it's like you're questioning everything, because ultimately all these questions you and I ask throughout our lifetime are going to mean fuck all anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And no one's
But
going to
it's
remember.
fun, isn't
no
it?
one's going to remember.
No one's going to remember
No one's
shit.
going to remember you. Do you remember your great? No, you don't.
I know his name.
It's gonna be the same
that's
thing.
it.
People might know your name. No one's gonna know what you look like.
Nope. Or what you did.
What you did.
I don't even know what my grandfather did during his life.
That's what I'm saying.
I barely know half the shit my dad did.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know what I mean?
Pretty scary, eh?
Like, who actually knows your life back to front? You. That's
do.
it.
Only you do.
So therefore,
You were with you.
you're alone forever.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you are by yourself. Who's in your head with you? Nobody. Just yourself. So you're the only one in your life. So if you really want to break it down and go all creepy, you're the only one that exists.
Yeah, because everything is in your head anyways. Because your brain visualizes even everything it sees. It just, your eyes fucking sends a message and your brain just fucking visualizes your surroundings and your...
Could it all just be a great trick? Could you be the ultimate magician playing a trick on yourself?
Oh.
You know what I mean? But then wouldn't that speak to something crazy? Like if you or I, because for me you'd be the construct and for you I'd be the construct, your mind or brain is something so beyond what you can imagine, because you've created everything that exists in your world all of a sudden. You know what I mean? None of it actually exists. It's just a big illusion, but you have somehow created all this shit. So therefore you're like, I'm beyond myself somehow. And that's why, you know, like we only use 10% of our brain makes sense to me, because it's like, if we could use more, couldn't we like levitate shit, the power of the mind? Because space and time, all the shit we've invented, I don't know, like none of it really matters. Oh, dude, it's blowing my mind. I can't even... I'm getting to that phase where your brain starts fuzzing. You're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, because yeah.
There's things you can't understand at all.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
It's definitely mind-blowing just to even think about, you know, all the different
But that's why we come up with little
But you'll
things
never
like...
know. That's the thing.
That's why we come up with stuff like God, though, and aliens.
Yeah, because we don't have an answer, so we
can't
just...
explain shit.
Oh, it's got to be that. You know,
The aliens built the pyramid because you fucks couldn't have done it. It's like, dude, we fucking did it. We did it. Yeah, literally. Or God, you know, oh, why does this happen? God works in mysterious ways. Mate.
I mean, look, it could be that too. You don't know.
No, we don't. That's
You
the
don't know.
Wouldn't that be the biggest joke ever? If you die and God's like,
Bro.
like, mate, you really let me down on this
you
one.
down, opens one of the episodes where you were like
you remember when you said that and you were like 95, you're like, oh fuck. He's like, now
Sorry?
listen, I'm gonna have to send you down to my good mate Lucifer. And you're like, he's like, he's a real good guy, but he just might rape you for 6 billion years, torture you for eternity. You're like, okay,
like, jokes
nothing I
on
can
you,
do.
I'm into that.
I don't know, who knows? Yeah, I wonder if the aliens exist, do they have a god?
Well, that's the thing.
Do
If
aliens
we do
believe in
ever
God?
find an alien, I reckon religion will be like the thing that gets questioned the most. Because most
For us.
religions are like, yeah, for us humans. Because we're like, yeah, we're the only, like, everything was created because of us. We
God
believe
created just us.
God created this whole universe for us, the sun and the moon and the earth and every living creature for us to fucking, you know, all the trees and fruits and vegetables.
And
it was
then if
all made
aliens
for
turn
us.
up, that
But if there's
contradicts all
aliens,
of
I'm
us.
like, okay,
Yeah.
what about them? You know?
And the aliens come in and are like, yeah, there's gods. Like, gods are real things, but your God doesn't
They're like,
exist.
oh yeah, like we've spoken to them. We know how to like
Yeah.
fucking
They're
communicate
real.
with them.
They're,
They're like, oh, fuck.
but there's no God like you, and you guys, and gods don't create worlds or do anything. They're just beyond, they're just in some realm of existence you can't even imagine. But that you can still talk to them and stuff, but they don't create things, they don't materialize things out of nowhere. It's like being a god is like some insane mental state or something, you know what I mean? Instead of like click, planet, you know? That's not how it works.
No, I don't think so.
You know what I mean?
It's not
like,
that easy. But
Oh,
I mean,
the stuff that could be out
I was
there
thinking,
is...
I was thinking the other day. You know how we were talking about aliens a few episodes ago, and you know we find them, and you always think alien is like, you know, big head, small body, giant eyes,
humanoid form.
Yeah. Imagine if they are exactly the same as us. Like, we find another planet like Earth, and they've got the exact same, like, they've got cars, they've got buildings, they go to work, and they look exactly, they talk the same. You're like, what the fuck? Yeah, because that's also a possibility
I
too.
guarantee you, we would come up with something and be like, they're not aliens. It's just a different timeline of humans. You know what I mean? Because if something's
You
so
reckon
like
that's how we would label it? Is it like, yeah.
It wouldn't be aliens. It would be like, oh, but then obviously there would be people that say, well, they are actually ETs because they're not on our planet. But then they're also, if they were like, that could be possible. What if the same meteorite we came to Earth on also broke off and is now somewhere else
Formed
on some
somewhere
other planet
else,
and did all the exact same shit? The universe is so big that could be such a possibility. There is literally Earth 2, or maybe we're Earth 2. Well, there's Earth 1 out there somewhere that actually it's happened before.
They already found so many planets that look very
possible,
similar.
You know, it's so possible.
Man, the photo that the Hubble telescope took, zoomed into like the tiniest section in the sky. Yeah. They said the camera's diameter, like pretty much it's the same as looking at a $2 coin.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing you're exploring. And in that $2 coin space, they found more than 10,000 different fucking galaxies. And within those galaxies is like fucking billions of stars.
I think I mentioned that to you on episode 2. I reckon. I talked about that. That was crazy. And then there's another photo of some satellite telescope that's really, really fucking far away from us. And it looked back and took a picture of Earth, and there's like these rays of light, and there's this like tiny fucking little scrap of light, and there's an arrow pointing to it, Earth.
Yeah.
Like so tiny, like the tiniest star in the sky you see, that was Earth from this telescope, and here we are on this planet, this rock.
You can't comprehend the fucking scale of it.
That's why I think everything anyone will ever think of, and humans are not going to think of everything ever. They just can't because of our environment, like you're saying. In your environment, that's where your ideas come from. There's environments and places we can't even imagine, and it's all possible.
And those environments would then, fucking, you would get so many other different ideas and different thoughts because the environment that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That environment will determine.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
What happens
There's things out there that we can't even comprehend, so therefore we'll never come up with the maximum amount of ideas or whatever.
Unless
you know what
we start becoming expanding,
well,
and
have you ever watched Star Trek: The Next Generation?
I've never seen Star Trek.
You should watch it. It's with Sir Patrick Stewart.
X-Men.
Yeah. He's the captain of this ship, and they're exploring space, and they're basically like a peacekeeping anthropology ship at the same time. So they're like exploring new life, but also keeping the galactic peace as well. It's amazing. It's the most amazing TV series, and it's like fucking 20 seasons. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But you should definitely watch it.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix. But it's really cool because it's like it's showing how this is back in like the 80s or something, but it's showing how humans would kind of interact with space travel, finding these people. But this is also after a time when like all these planets have accepted into the galactic government, basically. And humans of course control it. But it is like then they come across planets who aren't in the galactic fold, and they're really rebellious, and they go to war with. It's crazy. It's like it's all this awesome sci-fi kind of like what would happen if we were out there as spacefaring anthropologists. It'd be awesome.
That would be pretty sick.
Like we've already got anthropology's already a thing. We're here exploring different human civilizations, and then all of a sudden, what if we find there are aliens? Anthropologists are gonna go fucking nuts. They're gonna be like, yes. They're gonna be like, this is awesome. Tell us everything. It'll be just like that.
Anyway. Fun fact: they say that since humans first started transmitting radio signals, right, when radio was first invented, they saying that.
God, have you heard this one too? Are you gonna go?
The radio waves that we first broadcasted are only just reaching certain parts of the universe where they think there could be some potential life. So imagine if there is another living fucking life form out there somewhere. They are just about to receive our first radio transmission. So really, it's like they're looking back at our history. But they're only living it now.
This is what I heard, and don't quote me on this because
we're not a scientist.
I'm just remembering this. But the first radio signal we sent out was one of Hitler's speeches.
Oh, really?
That was the first thing that's actually broadcasted. So the first thing the aliens are going to hear is Hitler giving a speech on exterminating Jews.
Well, yeah, I watched the video as well. They're like, maybe like these aliens, like with the stuff we're sending out there, is all, you know, we've got war footage, you know, like even movies. Let's say they get a signal and see one of our movies or something. How do they know it's a movie?
Exactly. How do they know it's a fucking movie?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because that movies represent us. That's pretty much a reflection of us anyway. So they're going to be like, these guys are fucked.
Yeah.
And they just fly over, drop the nuke. Drop the orbital Earth
No, don't
nuke.
even fucking take chances with these guys because look all the shit they're doing.
They might be
can't
like,
even
we
get
gotta
along with
protect this
themselves.
sector.
We can't even get along between ourselves. How are we expected to get along with?
These aliens might be
else.
monitoring other life on like Europa, you know, one of Jupiter's moons that we don't even know about yet. And then they're seeing how much we're suddenly fucking up Earth and we're slowly expanding out into the universe. And they might just be like, look, they're jeopardizing all this other life in this Goldilocks zone. We've got to destroy the humans. Destroy all humans.
Oh shit!
You know?
Destroy all humans.
It's like with War of the Worlds. You remember the
Tom Cruise movie?
No, the broadcast. Did you ever hear about that? I mean, we weren't live when it happened, but everyone thought it was real. The dude was narrating the broadcast so it's like an audiobook, but he was narrating it so legit that everyone who was listening to it legitimately thought the world was being attacked by aliens. And there was a worldwide panic. Just because this dude did a radio broadcast.
That's crazy.
Of like reading this book or whatever that he'd written. And everyone freaked out.
I'd never heard about this.
You gotta watch it, man.
I'd never heard about
Oh my god, did we listen to it in school? And it's legitimately the scariest shit because the way this guy reads it is legitimately like he's narrating the world being attacked.
Oh really?
And you're just like, I can see how people back then were like, holy fuck, we're actually getting attacked.
Yeah.
And people were legitimately like freaking out and going into like apocalypse mode. It's awesome. You got to listen to it. It's scary. Like, obviously, probably not as scary now, but like back then in the 40s or whatever, I can't remember
when
it was
you don't
done.
know what's going on.
It was cool, man. It was cool.
Fucking scary.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna end it there because you got a jet, hey?
Aw.
Anyway, we can end it
Yeah,
here.
it's a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
Talk about some random shit, speculate more. Talk about aliens, Egyptians, and...
Just speculation.
Yeah.
We'll just call the episode Speculation. Go. I need to come up with it. I might
Crocodile poo.
Crocodile shit enema or something.
That's disgusting. I wonder if crocodiles have like fucking like tiny goat poos, like where they fucking, or if it's like a fucking
Big
giant fucking horse elephant poo.
Or a cow shit, just a pancake.
Yeah.
I've always wondered that about cow shit, like why it's so diarrhea-y. Is it because all they just eat is because they have so many stomachs and just breaks it down?
Probably, yeah. Because
like for a human, if you shit diarrhea, it's not healthy. Like you need to poo solid, and that's healthy. But for a cow, its 5 stomachs breaks it down to like mush, and all it eats is grass.
And all they eat is grass, so it's not like they're eating solid shit.
Yeah, because true, horse poo is like big round pellets.
Yeah, every like
crocodile poo is like a noodle.
We all have like signature fucking poos, eh?
It's true. You could totally like you see a poo, you're like, oh yeah, that's a horse.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cow. Dank. You know, but then we don't know what other poo looks like.
Yeah.
Imagine. Do you think there's a name out there for a scientist that studies just poo, like different?
Oh, there would have to be.
There'd have
for
to
sure.
be, right?
Yeah.
We'll look it up for next episode.
Yeah.
You know, scientists that study shit. Oh God, there must be a name.
There has to be. There has to be.
Alrighty, well,
There has to be.
we'll cut it there so we can get all that done.
Sounds
anyway,
good.
That was episode 9, baby in the bag.
That's it. Fucking episode.
Wait,
10
episode
is
9 or is it 8?
Oh, and also, we'll let our viewers know we got approved by Google Play as well now, so we're actually on Android phones.
Well, it's tricky because we upload this to SoundCloud, so therefore people are first originally going to see this on SoundCloud.
Not necessarily.
Or are people just going to how do we get it out to?
Well, you just upload it. If
people will just find it, it's there on iTunes, on Google.
Yeah, and if they subscribe
it's not like
to
we
it,
can
then
shove it into their face though.
I mean, I'd love to, but we can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. I still do.
Yeah, it's funny how we started this being like, oh, we don't really care. Now we care.
I mean, we still don't care.
No, but it's like our baby.
At the same
We've created
time,
something.
at the same time, you're like, all right, if we're putting this much effort and we're coming here every week and...
Well, I guarantee there's people out there who... Well, that's the thing. I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, oh, you're trying to find your target audience. It's like, well, no, because our audience has to find us.
Yeah.
We don't know who we're trying to... Like, we're just doing what you and I enjoy.
That's
so
it.
therefore, people who also enjoy that will find us. We can't... This isn't like a business where you go, this is our
You go
target audience,
headhunting,
this is who we got to give it to.
Yeah.
You can't do that with this. It's like people who actually enjoy what we talk about and the way we think are going to find us because that's all we can do.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
So, there we go.
As long as we're having fun, that's the main thing.
Dude, we have fun while we do it, but literally before we start, it's so nerve-wracking. It's so goddamn nerve-wracking. It's like, I start thinking to myself, I'm like, is this worth it? I literally freak. And then we're having so much fun, like, as we're going, which is cool, but it doesn't seem to change, does it?
No.
I guess we'll get to a point, but it's like, you want to have something to interest people with every episode. But then the podcast I listen to as well, it's like, not every episode's amazing.
Yeah, you don't
I guess
end up
it's
listening to
literally
every
just
episode.
consistency. You'll
Yeah,
have gold.
I agree,
You'll hit
I
gold
agree.
every now and then, but it's like...
I agree. I think, and I think that's the key to success. Consistency. Keep showing up. Keep doing it, no matter what. Even if we get 2 views, 2 hits, who cares? Like, don't let that fucking discourage you. Keep going, because sooner or later, hopefully,
You get 3 views.
Yeah, exactly, and then maybe 4, and before you know it.
Yeah, well, it's like consistency and authenticity because
That's it.
you don't want to try and be something that you think people are going to find interesting because then that's going to be difficult.
We're out here being ourselves, you know. We're like, with our positives and negatives, maybe. But
Well,
we are being who we are. Like, we are who
and it's
we
also
are.
scary putting something out there like that is yourself. Like, we're putting something out there and that's nerve-wracking because people can just shit on it all they want, you know. And then that is, because it is you, but then you got to have thick skin as well and just be like, I don't care. Like,
That's it.
you know,
That's
just
it.
doing something I enjoy. All right.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
Catch you next time, I guess.
Hopefully see you at episode 2. See you next week.
Episode 10.
Did I say episode 2? I just yeah, see you episode 2.
Yeah, go watch episode 2. It's a good one. That's the
What
Balls
was
Deep in Mars one.
Is it?
That's the one we tried
the second episode?
I think so.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because episode 3 was Choke Me Please.
Yeah.
Episode 2 was Balls Deep in Mars.
Yeah, that's it.
And that was probably our most enthusiastic one.
Yeah, probably.
You know? Last week was pretty enthusiastic.
Yeah,
actually.
no, last week was cool.
This one was more of a
Bit more chill, a
Open
bit more
book
calm.
kind
Yeah,
of
exactly.
thing.
Thought provoking, hopefully, because that's what I want. Like, I want to
Yeah.
get people to, when they listen to us, I want people to
think.
to stop and think. That's what we want to. We want to spark curiosity, right?
Because it's easy
Our
to listen to a
topic today.
podcast and just listen.
Our topic today, curiosity. That's what we want to fucking spark.
Okay, let's call it that then. Curiosity. Not the rover. In brackets. For people who get it, that'd be great.
That's it. All right, we found the name too.
All right, guys. We'll
Let's
catch
wrap
you,
it up.
Catch you next time. See you later.
See ya.